Somewhere right now, a baby is being tickled. It's shrieking, red-faced, gasping. And here's the strange part. If that baby had been born completely deaf and had never once heard the sound of a laugh, it would still laugh in exactly that way. The same rhythm, the same helpless joy. You didn't learn to laugh. You were born already knowing how. So how did ancient humans, with no comedians, no punchlines, not even a written word, end up with something as strange and sophisticated as a sense of humor? You probably picture your ancestors as grim, cold, hungry, always 3 days from starvation, with no time to spare on anything as frivolous as a joke. Survival first, comedy never. But that picture is almost certainly wrong. To see why, you have to stop asking where jokes came from and start asking where the laugh came from. In 2009, a researcher named Marina Davila Ross at the University of Portsmouth did something that sounds like a prank in itself. She tickled baby apes. Orangutans, gorillas, chimpanzees, bonobos. She recorded the sounds each one made, then mapped those sounds onto a family tree. The tree matched. The pattern of ape laughter lined up almost perfectly with the known genetic relationships between the species. That match meant this wasn't noise or coincidence. Laughter had a single common ancestor, her team's estimate for its age, somewhere between 10 and 16 million years old. Let that number land. Laughter is older than our species, older than walking upright, older than the first stone tool by millions of years. There's a catch, though. An ape's laugh doesn't sound like yours. Theirs is mostly unvoiced, panting, huffing, air pushed in and out like a dog on a hot day. Yours is voiced. Your vocal cords vibrate and turn the pant into that ringing ha ha ha. Somewhere along our line, we took an ancient breathy reflex and gave it a melody. And it may run deeper than apes entirely. The neuroscientist Jaak Panksepp found that even rats give off high-pitched chirps when you tickle them. A sound he argued was their own primitive version of a laugh. So here's the first twist. Everyone assumes laughter came from jokes, that somebody was funny, and then we laughed. The truth runs the other way. Laughter came first. By millions of years, the jokes came sprinting to catch up. Which raises a better question. If laughter isn't really about being funny, then what is it for? In 1993, a psychologist named Robert Provine at the University of Maryland stopped theorizing and simply watched. He and his students eavesdropped on ordinary people laughing in public. Malls, sidewalks, parties, and logged exactly what was said in the moment right before each laugh. 1,200 real laughs caught in the wild. What he found rewrites the whole thing. Most laughter had nothing to do with humor at all. People weren't cracking up at clever one-liners. They were laughing after flat little lines like, "I'll see you later," and "Are you sure?" In over 99% of cases, the laugh landed at the end of a phrase, slotted into speech as neatly as punctuation. And it gets stranger. The person telling the story usually laughed more than the people listening to it. You catch a laugh far more easily from someone you know than from a stranger. And you are far more likely to laugh with other people than alone at all. The laugh was never a review of the joke. It was a signal fired straight at the group. "I'm with you. I'm no threat. We're okay." Which explains a detail you might have skipped past earlier. Deaf people, signing to each other, break into laughter at the same natural pauses hearing people do. No sound required. The laugh isn't attached to the words. It's attached to the bond underneath them. So when did we start actually building the joke? Setup, punchline, the whole machine. The oldest one ever recovered is nearly 4,000 years old. In 2008, a team led by Dr. Paul MacDonald at the University of Wolverhampton combed through ancient texts hunting for the earliest thing with a genuine setup and payoff. They traced it to a Sumerian proverb from around 1900 BC, with roots that may reach back as far as 2300 BC. Here's the punchline. more or less intact after 4 millennia. Something which has never occurred since time immemorial. A young woman did not fart in her husband's lap. Yes, the oldest joke humanity ever bothered to write down is a fart joke. But look closer, because it gives the whole game away. The joke works by naming a taboo and then puncturing it. Bodies, dignity, the gap between how we're told to behave and how we actually behave. Take the rule, break it, laugh. That exact engine is running inside a joke you'll hear tonight. And notice what they chose to preserve. On the same kind of clay tablets the Sumerians used for laws, contracts, and grain counts, someone decided a joke was worth cutting into stone. Worth keeping. That is not a people too busy surviving to laugh. But maybe that's just us. Maybe our humor, our particular laugh, is a Western invention that wouldn't survive the trip anywhere else. In 2010, a researcher named Disa Sauter, working out of University College London, went looking for an answer in one of the most isolated places she could reach. She played recordings of English people's emotional sounds to the Himba, a semi-nomadic people numbering around 20,000 in northern Namibia, living with no electricity, no roads, and no contact with the outside world. Then she asked them to name the emotion behind each sound. Most of the sounds didn't survive the crossing. Triumph, relief, those turned out to be surprisingly local, unreadable across the gap. But one sound was recognized instantly, in both directions, no translation required. Laughter. The amusement of a tickle was the single positive human sound that every group understood on the spot. Two peoples divided by continents and thousands of years of separate history, and the one thing that needed no explaining was a laugh. So here's the deeper answer, the one sitting underneath the question. Ancient humans didn't invent humor the way they invented the spear or the wheel. Nobody sat down one afternoon and decided to be funny. The laugh was already there, a reflex older than our species, a way of saying, this is safe, we belong, put your guard down, without a single word. Humor is simply what happened when that ancient reflex collided with a big, storytelling, rule-making brain. We took a bonding signal we'd carried for millions of years, and we learned to pull the trigger on purpose. That is all a joke really is. A key, cut to fit a very old lock. Every comedian who ever walked a stage, every friend who ever made you laugh until it hurt, was doing the same thing your oldest ancestors did around a fire, reaching for the same reflex, pulling the same trigger. Which brings you back to that baby, shrieking under someone's fingers, laughing at nothing, laughing before it can speak a word. It isn't learning to be funny. Long before it knows a single joke, it already knows the thing every joke is only trying to reach, that being together is safe and shared and worth making a sound about. We treat a joke as the most disposable thing we make. It might be the oldest thing we've never stopped doing. A baby is being tickled somewhere right now, and even a baby born completely deaf would laugh in the exact same way. We picture our ancestors as grim, humorless survivors. The science says the opposite. Laughter is one of the oldest things about us, and humor might be one of the things that made us human. This video traces the sense of humor back through millions of years, from tickled apes to the world's oldest fart joke. To answer a question we rarely ask, where did laughter actually come from? In this video, we discuss the 16-million-year-old laugh. Why tickling baby apes revealed that laughter is far older than our species, or any joke. Laughter isn't about jokes. The eavesdropping study that caught 1,200 real laughs and found almost none of them followed anything funny. The oldest joke on Earth, a 4,000-year-old Sumerian punchline about flatulence, and what it quietly reveals about the human mind. The one universal sound. How a group in remote Namibia, cut off from the outside world, instantly recognized the same thing you'd laugh at. The real origin of humor. Why our ancestors didn't invent comedy. They inherited it. and simply learn to trigger it on purpose.